welcome to Who Put This On, Season 8, guys. Season 8, Episode 1, or is it Season 2024? Do we switch it up? Is this
I like
just
2024.
We're season the Ocho.
where we watch You Are What You Eat, a twin experiment, Episode 4, and I need cheese for my nachos. I'm Chris Lorenz.
I didn't know that there was anime porn. This is Brian.
Brian snagged my quote. This is 11 Maxison Park.
If those are all quotes from this week's episode, and if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We watch a different reality show each week. So we've watched 300 plus reality shows. I'd say we're connoisseurs at this point. And welcome to the new season, which we can come to this episode debatably a reality show. I don't know if I call the show a documentary. I don't know what to call this show.
This show is a modern Super Size Me.
Sure, yeah. I think it's like almost like an infomercial. It feels very infomercial-y.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us about it, Chris?
Yeah, so this show, the premise, Brian, why don't you tell us what the premise of this show is?
All right. The premise of this show is identical twins change their diets and lifestyles for 8 weeks in a unique scientific experiment designed to explore how certain foods impact the body. That's You Are What You Eat, a twin experiment.
See, that show description sounds great. It's like, let's follow these people as they go on a vegan diet and see how their body and their life changes. That is not what this show is.
No.
This show is like, don't eat meat for 4 hours. We're watching.
It's also, look at these alternative brands. Look at these alternative meats and alternative cheeses you can use for 4 hours.
Well, so I've seen all 4 episodes of this show. And the last episode is by far the best episode. It is legitimately like entertaining. Like, it's like, oh, this is what, is bad about meat, and here's some cheese options. And like, we'll probably go into too much detail about it. But like the first 3 episodes are like literally killer about like, look at these chickens in this pen. How dare you eat chickens? Look how we keep the chickens. And like, and then there's like a bunch of nonsense that go over in the first 3 episodes. Like the first 3 episodes I think are terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think the 4th episode is worth it's worth watching. You can watch it and be entertained, and it's not like the end of the world. Like Christina watched the 4th episode. She's like, "Oh, maybe we should eat less meat." And like I felt like it was like the right level of coercion. And I don't think the 4 episodes are right level of coercion. I think that it gets too much into the negativity side of meat and not just like, hey, here are the not meat options, like it was in this episode. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah, I kind of think if it's trying to just like turn you off, that might have just like stopped people from even watching like episode 4. Because they even mentioned...
Oh, yeah.
One of the doctors even mentioned, or somebody who's creating this fake stuff was like, hey, once I stopped talking about the health benefits, all of a sudden people liked it a lot more.
Yeah. You don't really want to watch. Like, I don't need to see the pens. Like, I know they exist, but I like live my life the way I want to. And for some people that can be eye-opening, and that's great. And this is the way you want to get, the way that people get it. Sure. But like, do I want to sit down and see that? Not particularly. They showed a brief picture of the chickens in this episode, which we can get into. Let's go over the most interesting part. I think is the study. So there's a couple studies going on, and they kind of blend them all together. But there's like so the main study is that they got 22 sets of twins and identical twins. One of them goes vegan. One of them goes on a diet, but it is still like an omnivore diet. And then some of them, it's hard to tell if all of them do like some sort of workout or if that's another study with only like 4 or 5 sets of twins that also work out at the same time. It's unclear. But that's essentially what's happening is they get a bunch of twins and they have one go the other way, and then they do a bunch of tests over 8 weeks.
What are the results?
Well, some of the details they don't give you in this episode is that they actually give them food for the first 4 weeks, and then they have to make their own food. And I was very confused. Like, why not just give them the food for all 8 weeks and like really set yourselves up for like a good like baseline?
A nice
so much
controlled study.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, maybe you just don't have enough money. Is really what I think came down to it. Is why they didn't give them food for the full 8 weeks. But it was like the only interesting parts were like following like 4 sets of twins, and like they were like, oh, it's so hard to be vegan, and like they would do like fun vegan things or like figure out how to be vegan, and like those were interesting bits. But there should be, that's what the show should be, is like these twins trying to be vegan or whatever, and that's like a reality show. Instead, the show just diverts attention all the time to, questionable antics. And then that's pretty much everything that happens until like the last episode where they talk about the results, which based on the episodes, based on the show, I thought they were going to all be pro vegetarian or vegan. And some of them are. They have definitely highlighted the only positive things for being vegan. But I didn't think they were all that compelling, to be honest. Like, let's see, what are results we have? One guy gained muscle when he was on a vegan diet, which was shocking, quote unquote, shocking to one of the results. The vegans tended to lose muscle mass, but they also tended to lose visceral fat, which is fat on your organs, which is bad for you.
They did mention the main problem with a lot of this was not eating enough. And so all the exercise that they were doing was just destroying the muscles in order to regain the energy. And they're just giving excuses for why the vegans did poorer, because it's a pro vegan show. And it's not like, but if this was a pro meat show, they'd be like, look at those vegans, they lost muscle mass. You need some protein, you need some you need some meat in your diet. That's like easily spun that way.
But Chris, if you eat a vegan diet, as they showed in the show, your nether regions get hornier.
Yes. So here's the other study. It seemed like there was 3 separate studies. So that was the one study. Then the other study was they were looking at genital heat. So women's genital arousal via heat. So they like had some sort of thermal camera on the nether regions before the diet and after the diet, and the people on the vegan diet were more aroused. But it was like the people that went on the diet also were more aroused. So it was like, it was percentage wise better than not. But like, it's clearly just like going to diet and, you can get more aroused.
And also exercise. All of this affects it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the exercise definitely.
And then there was the cognitive test.
Yeah, there was some sort of. Well, the whole thing is that like they showed like 4 or 5 twins in the first study, and then they showed 2 twins in the woman's like arousal study, and then they showed the 22 in the final study, where they like went over the cognitive score, which apparently didn't change between beginning and end. And then they like mentioned the LDL cholesterol went down. Their like bifidobacteria went up, and other food microbiomes went up, and their telomeres were longer on the vegan diet. But there was no like mention of like how much, what percentage, Like there was no real good baseline to say like, okay, like how much did this really affect anything? And they didn't bring anything up that like the omnivores did better. So I'm just like, why am I like? I was very disappointed in the resulting
Yeah,
aspect of the study.
the science or whatever, just like give me a fucking graph or anything. It wasn't.
Yeah,
great.
I mean, I was watching the show and I'm like, okay, they're definitely not going to show. I was surprised, honestly, that they showed things like the cognitive test didn't have results or whatever. Like, I was surprised that they even brought that up. Just cut that out of the show. Like, we didn't do cognitive tests. It doesn't matter. Like, it is all about like everyone should be vegan. And like the only people on the show were like, yeah, I'm gonna be vegan after this, and like showed them at a party being vegan and like stuff like that. Anyone, if anyone said anything not good about vegans, they weren't really in the show.
That's a good point. I don't even know how many people or how many sets of twins there were. Like when they showed they were doing the results and they showed the room, there were a lot of twins that I did not recognize.
Yeah, I mean it's only like the four twins that were, and it's really only like three sets of twins that were really on the full four episodes. And then the fourth episode, they showed some like set of black twins, a lot more than anyone else. But like that was it.
Were they the ones that had
And
no visceral fat, or one of them had no visceral fat?
yeah, the one guy that was, both of them were very fit. And then they showed they had the two twins that were not fit. They were kind of short, stocky kind of women. They were not fit. They were in primarily the whole thing, like the chefs. They were like, they showed the chefs a lot, like cooking. There was like one segment where they like, oh man, it was terrible. They had like this segment where they're like, yeah, they sell chicken and it's got bacteria on it, and it's the bacteria can get you sick. It's the
Oh
only thing in
shit!
the grocery store that sells stuff with bacteria on it. So then they did this whole segment of like they put something that reveals in blacklight on the chicken and then had them cook the chicken and then showed where they all touched and like under a blacklight over around this kitchen. And it's just like, we get it. We
Man,
get it.
that
You
sucks.
you don't want to eat chicken. I get it. And like, I don't know. That's the stuff I roll my eyes at.
Yeah.
That was not in this episode, but yeah. But the twins, the like, one of the sets of twins was in that. They're in like a lot of things. Because then there's a lot of shots of them going to the grocery store and like doing nothing. They're just like, I gotta get me some vegan stuff and picking vegan stuff off the store shelves. Like,
This whole show is a whole lot of nothing, man.
I know. We didn't talk about the anime porn though. Brian called it out. The anime porn.
Yeah. Sorry, Max.
That's okay. Tell me about anime porn, Brian. I know you're the expert here.
Well, you see, it's very, very blurry. It's very hard to see.
When an anime man and an anime woman love each other very much.
And an anime octopus.
Ooh, yes.
Let's see. What else do I have on my notes here? They kind of go over this guy that had like a chicken farm. So much time on this fucking chicken farm. And he decided to like, so the earlier episode, they were definitely big on this chicken farm where this dude in this one hangar had like 1,000,000 chickens or something in it, like an insane amount of chickens. It was like 0.8 square feet per chicken or something. So like,
Yeah,
not
great.
good. Terrible. They kept showing the scene of the chicken. They're like, oh, yeah, it's not good. So he decided to stop doing that. And then this episode revealed that he is now a mushroom farmer. It's much more sustainable. You just put a building inside your other big building and grow mushrooms with grow lights in this shipping container, even though you have this giant building.
Yeah, it's unclear why he needed the container.
So much not explained in this show. The other detour we got was like some sort of hog lawsuit. There was some sort of, you know, there's like a
Oh,
bunch of North Carolina hogs causing a bunch of shenanigans.
just like, oh,
And
the hog farm opened up next to us and it made the whole town smelly, and we took them to court and we won, and that's why you should be vegan, apparently.
oh yeah, that there was that detour. There's a detour to the Michelin star restaurant, which I
Yeah.
spent so much fucking time at this goddamn restaurant and talked about nothing. Like they just talk to this guy all the time about like, yeah, I went from regular restaurant to the best restaurant in New York City to the best restaurant in the world, and we got 3 Michelin stars, and I got this epiphany that we needed to be vegan. So we decided to be vegan, and we're converting the thing to vegan, and we're gonna be the future is vegan and vegan, vegan, vegan. How about you tell me about how you're going vegan or
Yeah.
things in your fucking restaurant that are fucking vegan? This
Tell
is the
me
most
about your
boring
menu.
fucking thing in this fucking show.
Yeah.
You guys didn't get to see a lot of it, to be honest. Like every episode had a shot with
Oh,
this guy. And
every
I'm
episode
just-
had fucking 11 Madison Park. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, and it's like the only thing you needed was in this episode was like, yeah, we got Michelin stars. We decided to be vegan. We got Michelin stars again. Great, but like, that's what I'm saying is like this last episode was by far the best because it had conclusions. They kept setting these things up without and then not concluding them. Like amateur hour.
Yeah. I don't want to brag, but me saying we should watch the last episode is the greatest idea I've ever had.
Amazing call.
By far the greatest idea you've ever had, Max.
Yep.
Let's see. They also went to something called Plantega.
I
they
went
got-
to a Plantega after watching this episode.
And
Well, so okay, here's the thing. So what it is they paint it in the show as like a way for bodegas to sell vegan food. So you walk into like a regular bodega that is not Plantega branded, but then they have like a Plantega menu, and Plantega provides them with like the stuff they need to make the stuff on this menu. So it's like a sub restaurant inside a restaurant or inside a bodega. I got a chopped cheese. It was good. It was tasty. I wouldn't say the beef replacement tasted like beef, but it tasted like meat and it tasted good. Like, I would say Impossible Burger, they're like on point. That tastes like beef. Beyond is kind of like they've invented a new meat, and that's tasty, but it's not beef, in my opinion. So that's my review of Plantega.
well, there you go. You
There
did a
you go.
lot for this show. I watched the whole thing, and you went and actually got the plant-based meat.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. I did nothing.
I'm not gonna lie, it exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I'm like not opposed to like the plant-based meat substitutes. I just question like how much better they are than meat. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
they're better, but like, I don't know. That's
Yep.
just like how much question for the environment. Sure, that's better, but like, is it better for us to eat these random weird plants? I don't know. Do you know? Probably not either. But we know is bad for you meat. So that's what we're going with.
Are we all
Let's
just
see,
going to start trash talking cows now? Like, the cow is not fundamentally improved in 10,000 years.
Oh, true. They did say that a lot. The other detour they did in this episode where they had like pizza.
Sorry.
They made pizza with some vegan cheese.
Miyoko's.
Yes,
The
Yeah.
name of the cheese.
have you seen it, Max, in the stores?
I've definitely seen it in a grocery store. Have you guys not?
I can't think I have.
I definitely have seen these guys around before. What I didn't realize is it comes as a liquid.
What? That looks like
Yeah.
a brick.
Oh no, I thought like in the show it's like a
In
liquid.
the show, the mozzarella replacement was a liquid.
Oh, yeah.
But some of their other cheese might not be liquid.
Because like
I don't know.
ultimately the way cheese behaves of like at room temp it's solid and then it gets melty is like not easy to clone, and that's why so many vegan cheeses are weird.
I think there's just got to be like, okay, melting vegan cheese, and then there's got to be like, I'm going to eat this cheese.
Yeah.
Vegan cheese, right? Like a charcuterie cheese, definitely got to be different. Can be different. You know, it doesn't have, they don't have to be the same. Just, you know, some other detours I remember from the couple episodes I watched, there was like a salmon. There's this dude that literally like just hated on salmon farming and was like, salmon farming is the worst thing in the entire world. You should never eat salmon farmed. You should only eat wild caught salmon. I'm just like, dude, like, there's only so much wild caught salmon and wild caught fish you can have in the world. Like, I know it's not it's obviously not as good for you or as good for the environment probably as a wild caught salmon. But if you only eat wild caught salmon, there'd be no fucking salmon, bro. Like, people are still gonna eat it. That's just reality. And
yeah, there's a lot of problems with these mass things. Right now, like, we're not there yet, and especially like I don't think there's fake fish. Is there? Like, we're mostly trying to clone beef.
I don't know. Is there fake fish at Plant whatever, Max?
I wasn't paying attention. I skip over fish.
What about lox?
Yeah, I'm not big on lox.
Okay.
Okay. You're just gonna let it go like that, Brian?
Well, I mean, I can't do anything if he doesn't like lox. Like, now I just got to go to New York and then try to find it. That's my mission.
I don't hate
your
lox.
mission.
I never pursue it personally.
That's your mission in life. Yeah, I mean that's kind of all the minutia I have for this show.
I have some minutia for you. This show sucks.
All right, let's do some questions. Who do you think's the worst human being?
All of us for eating meat.
Yep.
I think it's the salmon guy. I hate that salmon guy. He wasn't in this episode, but he deserves the hate that I'm going to give him.
What about chicken guy? Because like he did so much, bad in his life, but now he's doing good. So, does that equalize out?
For sure.
Okay,
Definitely.
you heard it here, folks. Karma's real, and Chris approves.
I never said karma was real. That was you putting words in my mouth.
That's not true. I'm gaslighting you. Am I gaslighting you? Nobody knows.
right.
Next question. Would the show be better if everybody was naked?
I want to see them hot genitals for sure.
Oh yeah. Why did they blur that out?
Would the show be better if everybody it was MasterChef Junior but vegan?
The vegan MasterChef Junior. That's coming up. Who do you think's gonna hook up next, Max?
Definitely. Hold on. What are their names? Vegan Charlie and Pam the vegan, because they got those hot genitals.
All right. Drinking rules. You're gonna need some drinking rules. I think you gotta start out with anytime you see some sort of meat and you want to eat it, take a drink. Brian?
Anytime somebody mentions vegan, take a drink.
Jesus Christ, you're gonna murder me.
Yeah, Brian.
Dude,
what are you doing?
I'm trying to make it interesting now.
Oh,
That's not interesting. That's murder.
Every time
You know what?
somebody...
Meat is murder.
Wow, yeah, he's right. Every time somebody makes some comment about how this vegan food doesn't taste very good or this tastes the same as all the other vegan stuff I make, take a drink. But you can't
Anytime
change
there's
what you're drinking.
Anytime there's a detour to something that you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with this twin study? Just chug your drink. Just go with Brian. Be just team murder.
Thank you.
All right. Would this show be better as a Quibi or TikTok?
Sure.
And I think this show would 100% be better as a Quibi. You could just 8 minutes of the study, boom, Quibi. Would the show be better as a TikTok? Yes, because I could swipe away right away. So unequivocally
Yep.
be better. Max, I know you love this question. What do you love about this show, Max?
I love that it led me to have a pretty decent lunch.
There you go. Brian, what do you love about this show?
That I actually got to learn about some good tasting meat substitutes. That's kind of interesting. But I could just get a list of that.
You stole mine. I I love that there was like at least one study was actually like trying to see if this actually was better or not, and they gave like real honest answers. Like I think that's scientific study was portrayed well on the show, and I do think that they have like an agenda, and I don't think it's a terrible agenda. So that's where we're gonna go with this. Now we do ratings. We do a stack ranking system between top, middle, and bottom third. Max, what's your rating?
This is a bottom third, bottom of the bottom show. I hated every minute of it. Not because of its message, just because it's fucking boring, and I knew all this shit anyway. So yeah, bottom of the bottom. Off to a great start in this new year, new season.
We should add a new question, I think, is what speed did Max watch the show at? And this one is definitely a 2x.
Actually, I installed an extension so I could watch it at 2.5. That is not a joke.
Oh, you got to share this extension.
I thought you had to have an extension to do this in general. You installed another extension?
No, Netflix web browser has up to 2x, and I use the Video Speed Controller, I believe is the name of the expen. Yeah.
All right. Brian, what's your rating?
I'm going to do middle of the bottom. It's not complete trash, but damn, I could not focus on this. I had so few notes, and it was mostly about like, all right, let me go check out this thing later at the supermarket.
How many times did you have to pause the show because it was so boring?
Double digits.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't pause the show. I'm gonna go with middle third. I think this episode specifically is middle third. I think the show overall is bottom third. Maybe I'll just go with bottom third because I think the show. Rob, it's bottom third. I think this episode specifically was fine. I enjoyed watching this episode, but episodes 1 through 3 were excruciatingly bad. I would not recommend watching those. But this episode was pretty good. I thought that this episode did a much better job of concluding its stories, showing you different options to go vegan, and not just like ramming it down your throat that meat is bad. Like if you're gonna sell veganism, or like plant-based options, like that's the way to go. Do not like go the route of meat is bad. Go like, hey, why don't you try this thing? It's better for the environment and it might be better for you. Why don't you try it? Like that's the selling point. Not like, oh, you put chickens in pens and chickens' lives, blah blah blah, and like no, that's just I'm just gonna turn you off at that point. So that's why you're bottom third show. But unfortunately, Noah could not be here this week due to family obligations, and he gave me his rating, which was bottom of the top.
Wow. You know what? I am shocked personally that Noah has a bad opinion. This has never happened before.
He said he liked the content, persuasive, but too much selling. Was his comment. So, and then I was with my fiance, Christina, which has been on the show before, and she said that, oh, we should buy some plant-based options. Should we do meatless Mondays? And I was like, whatever. But I do think that, if they would tone this down a bit, I think there's a good show in here. And I think there's, they have something to sell, but they're selling it too hard.
I think if it were more, doing it as a TV show doesn't work, but it's more like, how can you model your life to just decrease your meat consumption a bit? Decrease it 50% if you want to get a little crazy. Then it'd be a lot more engaging.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, let's talk about shoutouts. So we normally do shoutouts at the end of the show. What we've been watching or reading or playing that we're enjoying that we want other people to check out. Max, you got anything?
Yeah, yesterday I got stuck in an elevator. I'm not going to shout out that. That wasn't cool. I did play Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time. That was neat. I've been reading like 4 Brandon Sanderson novels in the past month because I have bad tastes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Brando Sando. You're Brando Sando.
I'm a Brando
Right.
Sando fando.
Read like 8 Brando Sando books. And still got one more to read.
Yeah.
And I'm rereading one. I don't know what I'm doing. Max. Shout out to the Stormlight Archive. Shout out to Miss Bourne. Shout out to Brando. Brian, you got any shout outs?
I checked out the floor. I'm not going to go too deep into it simply because we might do it, but I actually wasn't bored.
Would you Would you consider it more of a game show or a reality show?
It's absolutely more on the game show scale, but it's got an interesting premise, and I mean, it just falls into the same traps as like other game shows.
Yeah, I mean, we might do it. It depends on January lookout. I think we've got February, got Love Month. We got a lot of
Love
love
month.
shows. Get ready, a lot of love shows out there. Anything else you want to shout out?
Nope.
I've been watching. What did I watch? I watched Good Omens season 2. Very good
Oh.
season. I really enjoyed David Tennant. Dave Tennant? Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
his name is. He was great. He's very good in that show. And like the heaven and hell kind of bits are great. I also started watching Castlevania, that old Netflix show. It's pretty good. It's got like this like gothic Dracula vibe to it. I've been enjoying that. And I played Spider-Man 2 over the break. Spider-Man 2 is a great show. Great game. Definitely recommend Spider-Man 2. Not quite as good as Spider-Man 1, but I had a great time. All right. Well, that's it for us this week. You can tell us what you thought about this show at Hoopithison on X, formerly known as Twitter. We're going to have a poll up there, so go please check that out. We're also, next week, we're going to watch another Netflix show called The Trust. I'm sure it's on your top recommended shows right now, so we're going to get that next week. Follow along. We're at season 1, episode 1, and we'll see you guys next time.